Okay, these are some videos that relate a lot of the work that was done this summer by a graduate student and myself and others to deploy various types of fog collecting equipment. Here, Ted, you can see, is cutting pipe that was used to deploy what's called the FM-120. FM stands for a fog monitor, and 120 is the kind of model number of it. And these are devices that you're going to see deployed shortly. You're seeing us building them here. We're building the supports for them here. These are devices that measure the droplet size and number of fog particles that are in the air. And we're deploying actually 3 of them, 2 new ones and one that I've borrowed, at a location near us that we have other types of fog collecting equipment at. And it'll be the first ever deployment of so many of these FM-120s in conjunction with other devices called standard fog collectors. What this will allow us to do is to measure the efficiency of our fog collectors in terms of how much water they can collect from the fog to turn into usable drinking water. Here, Ted is assembling the adjustable wind vane that is put on top of the FM-120s. You'll see them in operation shortly. There it is. And we're just getting things together here, practicing putting them together, making sure we know how to build them, because the FM-120 is not a light piece of equipment. And here we're at the site, and we're about to deploy the first FM-120. And the platform that the fog collectors are on itself is about 7 feet off the ground. And the FM-120 has to sit so that it's approximately centered on these standard fog collectors that are up there. Those fog collectors collect water from the fog, and they measure it. The water passes into the net, and it passes down that trough that you can see below, or the gutter below the net. And then it passes into a tipping bucket rain gauge that measures the volume of water that the fog collectors collect. And here we are. We have the base firmly attached for the FM-120. Got a bit more of a close-up there. And we are drilling it and making sure it's going to be sound, because the FM-120 device on top of it weighs about 50 pounds, 45 to 50 pounds all told. And so there's a lot to it, and it's not a cheap device. We want to make sure it's safe. And we hook up the hose that pumps the air into it, and there's a whole control center we have below down there that houses the computer and other equipment we need. Here is another day, actually, and we're deploying the second FM-120. So this is exciting because we have one that's out in the open. That's the one we're deploying right there. And then one that is behind one of the fog collectors. So we'll get measurements of the content of the number of droplets, both in front of the mesh and behind the mesh. And that's going to allow us to make very accurate measurements, never before made measurements, of the efficiency of the fog mesh over a period of several fog events. And so we're very excited about that. Unfortunately, and here I'm setting up the control station for both FM-120s. Fortunately, I'm able to run them off one computer that's down there, but I reorganize things, and I'm busy checking the code while Ted tightens things up top. But you can see they're both operating, and it's interesting to kind of watch how the wind responds differently to the FM-120 that's out in the open versus the one that's behind the fog collector. The one behind the fog collector is actually seeing eddies, and you see it spinning quite a bit more than the one that's out in the open because of the nature of the blockage of the fog collector in front of it. Unfortunately, the open FM-120 failed after a few days of operation. Fortunately, we found that, so we're taking it down right there, taking the bucket down, taking that down. This video is going to stop before we get the full thing taken down because we ran out of space on the camera after all of that work. Here, this is very exciting. This will be the largest fog collector deployed, as far as I know, in North America right now. And this is being deployed on the Fort Ord Natural Reserve. There's 3 of us there. We are busy stitching the mesh together right now and preparing it to mount on those 2 poles there. It's going to be about 45 square meters of mesh, and now the poles are down, and we're about to lift up and you see fog coming in. How exciting. There it is.